So, shout out to everybody who's going to be tuning into this live stream right now. Welcome to my channel. My name is Simon Hill. I keep it trill. I'm a Black American from Louisiana. Been traveling around the world for the past few years. Currently filming this video in Budapest, Hungary. I'm 33 years old. I'm a Muslim. I'm a husband, friend, and beginning YouTuber. You know what? I'm dropping beginning YouTuber. I've been at this for a while. I'm just a YouTuber now. I got paid. I get my checks. I grind out every day, and let's get into it. Usually on this channel, I don't talk about celebrities, gossip, things going on in that culture, because usually on this channel, I try to keep it academic. I try to keep it informative. I try to keep it fun and edutainment. I try to create edutainment, uh, content that's entertaining, engaging, and educational at the same time. But I think there's a lot to learn from this story right here that's been going on recently between 50 Cent, Diddy, and of course, the late, great Tupac Shakur. Now, why am I talking about this? For many reasons. Number one, Tupac was a son. He was meant to be the next generation of Black leaders. His mother was a Black Panther. And because of the circumstances of how his life ended up, he ended up becoming a hip hop entertainer, ended up becoming a backup dancer for Digital Underground, then went on to become one of the most successful rappers of all time. Truly a remarkable story for somebody who was literally born in prison. His mother was hunted down by the federal government, didn't really know his father, grew up in abject poverty all across America, and still rose to be a rose that grew out of concrete. Tupac is one of my inspirations, and I take many, many lessons from studying his life, good and bad. Tupac was not a perfect person, and the older I get, the more of the flaws I see in the man. But as a young person growing up, his music was very influential. His life was very influential. His interviews were very influential on me. Tupac Shakur, of course, died at the age of 26, very young, and has left a lasting impact with his music and legacy. Let's talk about who Puff Daddy is. Puff Daddy, of course, is one of the most important moguls in hip hop history, one of the most important record producers in hip hop history. Coming out of New York, coming out of Harlem, he made his way in the music industry when people were counting him out. He was a young Black man, very focused on being a successful record producer and executive, and found a way with his record label, Bad Boy Records, which went on to sign incredible artists like, of course, the Notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans, and many of the other R&B groups of the day, like 112 and that sort of thing. You know, Puffy has left a lasting impact. I'm more familiar with hip hop than R&B. So excuse me for not counting out every single R&B group he signed. You know, Puffy is also known for doing very bad business deals with his artists. A lot of his artists complain that they never got their fair share of the money that was earned from the music that they put out. But Puffy, nonetheless, has maintained an image, at least in hip hop, of somebody that we admire, similar to how we admire Jay-Z for his business acumen, for his strategy, for his way of navigating so many of the pitfalls in the music industry and always reinventing himself and staying in the public eye, fresh, fly, and that sort of thing. And yeah, he's, you know, without Puffy, we probably would have never had, probably arguably the greatest rapper of all time, the Notorious B.I.G. Y'all know me. Nas, in my opinion, is the greatest rapper of all time. Then I think we have to go to Pac. And then after that, I think we will put Jay there, then Biggie. Honestly, and that's my honest opinion. Those are not my favorite rappers, but those are the rappers I think have left the most impact on the game and have created some of the best rap music. Now let's talk about 50 Cent. You know, 50 Cent. So let's shout out to Globalismo Black Man, Simon, the Keeping It Trill Man, legend, with another classic. I hope I bring you another classic. I hope you enjoy this live stream, man. We're talking about some real deep, dark topics in this case. Did Diddy have something to do in Tupac's murder? And the longer time has passed, the more fingers start to point at Diddy. But we're going to get into that after we break down who 50 Cent is. 50 Cent, of course, is a rapper from, I believe, that third wave of New York legends that came out. 50 Cent was grinding it out for many years in the 90s in the hip hop underground and was a real street dude. Like, 50's bona fides in the streets are certified. He was a stick-up kid, a robber, a drug dealer, you know, really was out there busting his gun, letting it ring. And so all that karma he had in the streets came back to him when he got shot nine times, of course. And, that became a part of his story, his legendary story. He survived getting shot nine times, released a bunch of mixtapes after that, ended up getting signed by Dr. Dre after Eminem heard his music. And the rest is history. Dropped one of the most important, most impactful gangster rap albums of all time with Get Rich or Die Trying around 2001, I remember. And still a classic album to this day. So we love 50 Cent for his contributions to the game, at least with that album. But we have to remember that after 50 Cent dropped that album, it's been all downhill musically for him. 50 Cent, since his debut, has consistently declined in his music output and the quality of his music, primarily because he became a mogul himself, and I believe was focused more on succeeding in the business realm, creating TV shows like Power and stuff like that, producing movies and stuff like that, acting in movies. So I believe 50 was focused on just getting the money. He was always a hustler. So 50 decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pursue the money more than actual hip hop glory and fame. And so since then, 50 Cent has been more focused on the business side. And so we salute 50 for becoming another one of those great hip hop moguls like Jay, like Diddy. 50 is one of those guys too. So we respect him for that. But he's it definitely in nobody's top 10 as in greatest rappers of all time or anything like that. But 50 has been a very outspoken person on social media, and he's been talking hella spicy on social media about various different people. And he's had legendary beefs like with Fat Joe, like with Rick Ross, like with Diddy, like with Jay. 50 is beefed damn near with the whole industry, and he still managed to come out on top. So 50 is definitely one of those dudes who's not scared of anybody, right? But a lot of people have also said, and I'm not from the streets, so I don't want anybody to get it misconstrued like I'm trying to get into street politics or anything like that. I'm only here to give my opinion and report on the news and that sort of thing. But people have been saying for a long time that 50 is a snitch, that 50 been snitching. You know what I mean? There's never been paperwork out there saying that 50's been snitching, but 50's been caught up in some shit and always never, got out of, he always got out of legal problems. I'll say that. And for example, with the situation with Ja Rule and stuff like that, they were saying that 50 smacked Ja Rule over the head with a bat. And also on top of that, 50 got stabbed up, I believe, or he stabbed somebody up in one of those altercations he had with Ja Rule. And then he filed a restraining order on Ja Rule and Irv Gotti and that sort of thing. By the way, Ja Rule is another famous New York rapper who 50 had beef with at the beginning of his career because of some street shit that happened in the past. And then 50, carried that street beef into the industry and used that, street beef to fuel his industry career and blew up more as a rapper and that sort of thing. So he used that to fuel his career, to keep going. And people have always said, that 50 might have been snitching because that's why he never got caught up in any of that drama from the streets. You get what I'm saying? And then Irv Gotti and Ja Rule were throwing around the restraining order papers that 50 filed against them and that sort of thing. So there's always been that. And also in this situation, I got to keep it real. If 50 does know that Diddy had something to do with Pac's murder, that's dry snitching. We got to keep it real. And I'm not from the streets once again, but 50 going on stage talking about Diddy had something to do with Pac's murder, that's dry snitching, and that's against street code automatically. There is no reason. If I know, I'm going to keep it real with you. I am not a street dude. I am not involved in criminal activity. But if I knew somebody who is in the streets did some stuff like that, like caught a body, you can't be talking about that. There's no reason for me to talk about that. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real. There's no reason to voice your opinion about street beef in front of the whole world, especially if if there's bodies involved and people are going to jail. Because let's keep it real. At least for me, I don't want to see no black man go to the white man's prison. I don't want to see no black man go to the white man's prison. So anything that takes place in the streets, we can have court in the streets. On it. So whoever caught the body on Pac, which they should not have done, period. Nobody should have shot at Pac or killed Pac, period. But if they did, let's handle that in the streets. Let's not take it to the white man. I'm going to go to Globalissimo Black Man. 50 is a businessman. That deal with Coca-Cola was insane business moves that propel him up the financial ladder. Facts. 50 got a deal with Coca-Cola to basically sell vitamin water. Like 50 was known for his physique and being a guy who was very physically active. Everybody remembers the In the Club video, his big breakout debut single, and he comes down, from the ceiling doing the the sit-ups from the ceiling and stuff like that, and he's just ripped. So 50 tried to put out that image that he was very health conscious and he was going to be, basically a sex symbol. Let's keep it real. When 50 dropped, people thought this was like Tupac on steroids. People thought this is going to be the super thug who can't die, and on top of that, he has the same image that Pac had to a little bit. Let's keep it real. There were a lot of comparisons between 50 Cent and Tupac. Tupac, was known for his physique. Let's keep it real, no homo, pause. But Tupac was known for his physique. He was a sex symbol and that sort of thing, out there with the six pack and the abs and all that sort of stuff, and with hella tattoos, and also known as the super thug that can't die. He got shot 5 times and he's still breathing, living proof there's a God if you need a reason, that sort of thing. 50 came after Pac died, because a lot of rappers at that era, like 4 or 5 years after Pac died, like in 96, the game changed a lot. After Pac died, everybody tried to take on Pac's image to some extent. That's why if you look at the videos from the 90s, even Jadakiss got on bandanas, even Ja Rule got on bandanas and that sort of stuff, just like Pac did. Everybody was taking off their shirts. Everybody got 30 million tattoos on their body, but nobody really captured that essence. DMX tried, Ja tried, but nobody really captured that essence of Pac, I think, more than 50. I'm keeping it real in my opinion. I'm keeping it real. In my opinion, 50 captured that essence and that feeling that Pac had when he dropped, because he had that background story that a lot of people find very similar to Pac's. So, but after that, 50 sort of moved on past this super thug image, and now he's turned into a businessman. So, Globalissimo Black Man, Keefy D snitched on himself. 50 Cent dry snitching is just spitting already public info. In a way, I agree with you a little bit, Globalissimo. Keefy D going on Vlad TV all the time, talking out the side of his neck, giving up the game, talking about what he knew, where he was, what Orlando did, what Orlando didn't do. By the way, Orlando is Orlando Anderson, the gang member that Tupac beat up on the night that he got killed. So a lot of people connect the two dots and say Orlando killed Pac because, of course, after you just get slapped by a famous rapper and you're a gang member, you're going to want to get revenge. But Keefy D giving up the game on Vlad TV like that is, of course, snitching and absolutely dumb. But 50, I would say, tying somebody to that who's not even in the paperwork yet. Let the police do their job, 50, in my opinion. Don't come on here dry snitching, talking hella crazy about somebody who's not involved in the case. That's wild. That's wild. That's like, the police arrest John. The police arrest John for robbing the liquor store. And then I go on YouTube talking about, hey, Globalisto Black Man was also at the liquor store too. I think maybe he had something to do with it. Even if you were a Globalismo, that's dry snitching on me. I shouldn't be doing that. If I know something, I keep it to myself. We don't talk. That's my opinion. But let's get into this story because I've been ranting off and I think y'all need some background information. So 50 Cent doubles down on claim Diddy got Tupac killed. This was published by Marisa Mendez for Hip Hop DX on October 10th, 2023. So 50 Cent isn't backing down from his claims that Diddy hired the fatal hit on Tupac. The G Unit General made a seemingly unprovoked Instagram post on Monday, October 9th, alleging that Puff was responsible for Pac's death, even advising him to lawyer up in the wake of Keefy D's arrest for the murder. 50's a troll. 50's an absolute troll. But this is unwarranted. This is a different level of trolling. So like 50 used to do like make memes about you, call you fat, call you ugly, roast you in the comments on Instagram and stuff like that. But this is taking it to a whole nother level. And in my opinion, I don't think this is right at all. Just for the implications. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do at all with about street code or anything like that. It's about the fact that you could seriously get this black man locked up in the white man's prison for the rest of his life. That's my opinion. In my opinion, this has nothing to do with street code other than the fact that this street code violation, dry snitching, could get Puffy, a very rich, very successful black man who has hired and made millionaires out of hundreds of other black men and women, is going to end up in jail just because 50 got a petty beef against him. To me, that's not cool. That's not cool, in my opinion. So I'm going to keep on reading. Now, in a clip that surfaced later on Monday, 50 reiterated his claim to the crowd at a recent show. I hate when they leave me to talk because I always say the wrong thing, he began. Last time they left me, I said something about Puffy. You saw that clip? I got to stop doing that kind of shit. I've been talking to a therapist to try to help me with the shit I've been saying. Yeah, 50, you definitely need to talk to a therapist and leave it at the therapy session. 50, don't come out spilling the beans after you had the therapy session. I'm sure 50 has some of the best therapists in America. He's a super rich man, so he can get, he can get Sigmund Freud. 50 got enough money to actually talk to Sigmund Freud. Facts. What, leave it at the therapy session. Leave it on the couch, 50. We don't need you coming out here spilling the beans. You get what I'm saying? And let's keep it real. 50 and Diddy are in that same air. They're like super wealthy, super successful black men in the music industry. They're hanging around each other at parties. They're chopping it up. In public, we might think they got beef, but definitely Diddy and Puffy, I mean, Diddy and 50 have sat down at the table before. You get what I'm saying? So there might be conversations between them that we're not privy to, and that's okay. They should keep it and leave it between them. But 50, don't let, what you talk about in private with 50 or what you know about 50, don't let what you know about Diddy in private or the conversations you have with him in private or people that you know around Diddy that have spoken to him in private about this Pac situation and get it out in the open. That's not cool. It's not cool. So he continued, it's some crazy shit on my mind. Maybe I said this shit about Puffy because he got Tupac killed. Okay, all right. You know what, guys? You can find the clip right here. It's on Twitter. It's all over YouTube. I'm not going to play it because YouTube is trying to take me out. They're always trying to copyright strike me or shut me up. But I'm playing the rules very carefully, so I will not be playing the video. But y'all have seen the video before. And doesn't this sound like 50? Doesn't this sound like something 50 would do? 50 is the same guy that released a sex tape of Rick Ross's baby mama when they were having beef. This guy has no chill. 50 Cent is the same guy who said, I don't have no son, about his own biological oldest son. I forgot his name. Like, he disowned his son in public and cursed him out in public. You know what I mean? 50 has no chill. 50, this is the least thing 50 has done when we think about his reputation in the streets. You get what I'm saying? But keep it real. It's still not cool. I don't think anybody should be co-signing this type of behavior. Absolutely not cool. So it's unclear if the clip is new or from the same recent show where 50 Cent explained to his laughing audience why he doesn't go to Puffy parties. So for people that don't know, Puffy is, rumored to also be a bisexual man or a homosexual man, and that's cool. But we've heard a lot of zesty stories about Puffy, and Puffy has, how can I say this, displayed some very pause-worthy behavior. For those who don't know, pause is when somebody you say pause to show that it's not gay or that you don't mean anything by it. It's very juvenile, but it's still, a part of the lexicon. Anyway, Puffy, do I believe Puffy is a homosexual? Do I believe Puffy is bisexual? I think there's a strong possibility, man. When enough people are talking about you like that for enough time, there's probably some truth to that. Maybe Puffy just took a lot of ecstasy, did a lot of cocaine, did a lot of other drugs that made him, act very, flamboyant at parties or in the public eye. But I really think there might be some truth to that. Not that it matters. I don't think it matters. If you're the guy who helped bring us, Life After Death, that album, you can, suck a million dicks. I don't care. Puffy, whether he's gay or not, has still been a very integral part of hip hop history, and we value him and we love Puffy. We love 50. We love Tupac. We love all of these guys for their contributions to hip hop. Now, whether Puffy is gay or not, I don't care. If you care, let me know. But it doesn't matter to me. But I just really think he should be open about it because I don't think it's cool for anybody to hide their sexuality like that. I'm keeping it real with y'all. If you're gay, I think you should be open about it. Just like, hiding your sexuality ends up in bad situations, right? And you're sending the wrong message to the kids because there might be a gay kid who wants to be the next Puffy, but Puffy is scared of his sexuality, and Puffy might give off, homophobic vibes. And, the next black kid who wants to do great things in hip hop might not do it or might not want to be in the game because he feels like it's very homophobic. And I don't think that's cool. So let's get into the comment section real quick. Globalismo Black Man. Yeah, 50 tweets about not attending Puffy parties. LOL. Yeah, I saw that on Facebook feed. Yeah, man, I wouldn't go to a Puffy party. No, you know what? I would go to a Puffy party, but I would stay away from Puff. I'm trying to holler at Cassie. I'm lying. I wouldn't holler at Cassie. All right. So, he said from the stage. That nigga hug you from the front and the back at the same time. That's funny. That's funny. 50 is a wild dude. 50 is a wild dude. He said Puffy gonna hug you from the front and the back at the same time. Fuck you talking about? I mean, if you into that, you into that. I'm fine with it. I'm just saying this ain't my MFN kind of party. I'm uncomfortable. I think I belong in the girls' bathroom. That's That's kind of funny, but it's homophobic, man. 50 is crazy. 50 is a crazy dude. But I think 50 has shown us a lot over the years. He showed us, you know what we learned? Like we learned from different rappers. And I'll keep it real with y'all. I keep it real with y'all. I've said this in the previous live stream. Rappers are like mini prophets to the people, you know, because there's a difference when Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera or Miley Cyrus is singing, right? Those songs might mean something to you emotionally, but we don't attach it that much to the artist because we know deep down, you know, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Miley Cyrus probably didn't write their songs, but 50 Cent, Jay-Z, DMX, Nas, all of them, their stories ring very true to us because they teach us lessons in their music. You get what I'm saying? And also in their life examples. So as we've been watching 50 grow right in front of us all of these years, you know what I mean? He's taught us that be fearless, be bold, be brave, just don't give up what, grind out, and you can succeed. And that's what 50 has shown us. You get what I'm saying? So I take a lot of life lessons from 50, and I hope I can be as brave as him. But I would not be this stupid as him. I'm gonna keep it real. This is stupid. I think 50 was on one talking about Puffy like this because this is not cool. This is not cool. If think about this. If Vlad is the reason why Tupac's murderer is caught, and 50 Cent is the reason why Diddy goes to jail, who's really bad in that situation? I know a lot of people call Vlad TV the police, but keep it real. Don't we want to know really who killed Tupac, whether they're alive or dead? We want to know. I would like to know. I would not like to see that man go to prison, but I would like to know. But 50 talking about this could get Diddy jammed up. You get what I'm saying? Because the police, the hip hop police are real. They're watching everything. They're listening to everything. Every interview, every clip, they're out there watching. And they, you know, they can investigate. Some people say Diddy got enough money to fight the feds or beat jail, or there's no evidence other than circumstantial that's going to get him jammed up in the Tupac case. That's what we think, but we don't know what the police might have that we don't know. And we're going to read more about the story, and there might be a lot of fingers pointing at Diddy. So, though he's wearing the same outfit in that clip and the new clip, it's possible it may be part of the nightly wardrobe for his current tour, particularly given that he references his prior comments about Diddy in the latest clip. 50 Cent and Diddy have had a love-hate relationship over the course of several decades. Part of the reason Fifth may feel a type of way may have to do with the Bad Boy exec once passing on signing the Indie Club rapper to his label back in the day. All right, so is it possible that 50 still holds a grudge about that? I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, a lot of people, you know, try to get deals when they first come on, and everybody says no, right? I think Diddy even passed on Nas. You know, Diddy even passed on Jay. Diddy passed on DMX. Like, that's for sure. Like, you know, Diddy passes on a lot of people, and that's just a part of the game. If you're a rapper coming up, and even if you're gonna be successful later, nobody knows you're gonna be successful later. Nobody knew Jay-Z was gonna be Jay-Z. Nobody knew Nas was gonna be Nas. So if Russell Simmons or Diddy say no to Nas's little demo tape, can we really blame them? It's not like back then in the day, you know, you could go viral on SoundCloud or on YouTube with a hit song and then the labels come to you. Back then, labels were really taking a gamble signing artists. You get what I'm saying? So I don't think 50 holds a grudge because I think 50 knows at this point in the game right now, like he would do the same thing. I'm pretty sure J. Cole came to 50 with the tape. I'm pretty sure Wale came to 50 with the mixtape. I'm pretty sure 50 had the chance to sign Drake. And I'm pretty sure Drake is not mad at 50 for that. And 50 would be like, y'all can't be mad about that. I don't know who y'all niggas are. Keep it real. Keep it real. So going back to the comments, Globally So Black Man says 50 is mad cray cray. Absolutely. He's a crazy dude. So let's go here. Tony Yayo made the revelation back in 2021, recalling a time he and 50 took a meeting with Puff Daddy about a potential deal and the reason why Puff didn't want to sign him. Yayo believes it was one of the biggest mistakes the label ever made. A lot of people don't know this story. He began, 50 went to Diddy for Bad Boy. A lot of people don't know that. He had the meeting and it was crazy that Diddy didn't sign him. I know that one of the biggest mistakes of Bad Boy, I know that was one of the biggest mistakes of Bad Boy. And you know, the Kenneth Supreme McGriff situation, a lot of people were scared of Preem. 50 wasn't. Yeah. For people who don't know, is a legendary drug dealer from Queens, New York. He was affiliated with Irv Gotti and Nas and that sort of thing. And, you know, Supreme is known in the streets for, can I say this? Supreme is that character in the 50 Cent movie, Get Rich or Die Trying. He's the character that's the big drug dealer that I think 50 kills at the end. Spoiler alert. If you didn't see Get Rich or Die Trying, well, spoiler alert. Too bad. He was the big drug dealer. And I think Preem and 50 had a lot of beef going back in the day because I think 50 slapped somebody who was affiliated with Preem, or 50 robbed Preem and didn't pay back the drug money that he owed him, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure about the whole situation. If anybody knows the situation between Preem and 50 and why they have beef, let me know. But I think a lot of this street beef played a big part of the industry beef that happened. Because remember, 50 had beef with Preem. Preem ends up going and affiliating with Irv Gotti and Ja Rule and them, and with Nas as well. 50 has had beef with all of those guys: Nas, Ja Rule, Irv Gotti, all of them. So a lot of the street beef ties back into the industry beef. And with that said, let's think about this. If there was like a body that 50 caught back in the day, do you think he would think it's cool Diddy was on stage talking about 50 caught a body against Preem back in the day? Hell no. Hell no. And we'd all be calling Diddy a snitch. We would all be calling Diddy a snitch if he did the same thing about 50. 50 shot at Preem or something like that. Now, Preem is still alive. He's in jail right now doing like a 40-year bid for drug trafficking, I believe. And I think he'll be released pretty soon. And yeah, he's one of those Big Meech characters, like Big Meech of New York and that sort of thing. But anyway, let's keep on building. So I remember Diddy said this. He don't even remember. He was like, yeah, we can't sign you, Playboy. It's too much. It's too much drama with the Biggie stuff and all that. Diddy has yet not responded. Diddy has yet not responded to 50 Cent's latest claims, as he should, man. If I was Diddy, I would keep absolutely quiet about this, because this is just, you know, if Diddy replied to this, he would be giving credence to it, you know? And the last thing Diddy wants is any more heat on his hands. Diddy just released the album. I didn't listen to it yet. A lot of people saying it's really dope. It's like that 90s vibe, R&B vibe. He's got everybody on there. I don't know. I might check it out. But overall, I think 50 in this case is absolutely in the wrong. I don't get, you know, the obsession with trying to out people and be all up in their case and that sort of thing. 50 is absolutely doing the wrong thing in this situation. And if Diddy did have something to do with Pac's murder, I think that's absolutely wrong as well. And I think there are a lot of reasons why people have these beliefs. So let's get into this article here from Capital Extra. Did Diddy really kill Tupac? A full breakdown of what we learned in Murder Rap. So Murder Rap is a documentary that came out, I believe, a few years ago, basically laying down the whole situation of what happened to to Biggie and Tupac about their murders. So yeah, I didn't watch the documentary, but you know, this information that Keefe D has been releasing has been out for years, honestly, and people have been talking about this for years. And it's kind of crazy that Keefe D was out there talking so recklessly, bringing that much heat on him and that sort of thing. So let's build on this. So after Biggie Smalls' mother had his murder case reopened in 2006, LAPD detective Greg Carding discovered new information linking Diddy to the murder of Tupac. Here's what we learned from the documentary everyone's talking about, Murder Rap. So here's Violetta Wallace. I believe this is Biggie's mother. I hope I said her name right, Violetta. So, number one, it all started when Biggie Smalls' murder case was reopened by his mother in 2006. All right, let me scroll down. Biggie's mother, Violetta Wallace, sued the LAPD for an estimated sum of $500 million based on the popular conspiracy theory that the police covered up the death of her son. The case was consequently reopened in 2006 and handed to LAPD detective Greg Carding, who discovered more than he was hoping for. So this picture is from Getty. Yeah. So rest in peace to Biggie Smalls, by the way. I know this situation we're talking about is with Tupac, but I would very much like to know who killed Biggie as well. And I think there's a high possibility, very high possibility, Suge had something to do with it. Because let's keep it real. Diddy sort of had an incentive to get Pac killed because, as we're going to read later, Suge Knight. All right. So the story is something like this. Long time ago, back in the early 90s, Diddy's bodyguard kills Suge Knight's friend, right? In fact, let's talk about that now. Suge Knight's friend was killed by Diddy's bodyguard. Then later, Diddy's bodyguard that is killed, right? And Suge Knight ended up becoming the CEO of Death Row Records, which Tupac signed. after Tupac got shot in New York back in 1994, and he believed Biggie had something to do with the assassination on him, or the assassination attempt on Tupac, right? I know I'm telling this story in a weird way, but you know this story. If you're black, if you follow hip hop, you know this story, right? But possibly people don't know the street ties. So a lot of people think that the East Coast West Coast beef really started when Tupac went to death row, and he started releasing disses against Biggie, like "Hit 'Em Up," talking about Biggie helped get him set up in New York and helped Tupac get shot, by whoever. And then Tupac said he slept with Biggie's wife on "Hit 'Em Up" and all that sort of stuff. A lot of people that think that's how the East Coast West Coast war started, and I'll keep it real. For me, that's how I thought it started for a long time too. But actually, what happened is that Diddy and Suge had some real serious street beef that existed for a long time, and let's get into that. So let's go back here before we get into the story on why people think Diddy killed Tupac or had something to do with it. September 23rd, 1995, Big Jake shot by Puffy security. Here's Big Jake pictured here with Suge Knight. This was published on September 23rd, 2022. So, on this date in hip hop, Suge Knight's homie, Big Jake Robles, was shot during an after party for Jermaine Dupri's birthday at Platinum City Club in Atlanta, Georgia. Robles, a Campanella Park P team member, which is a gang, and death row employee, died a week later. Who pulled the trigger? It's long been rumored that Puffy's bodyguard, Wolf, fired the shots. Jermaine Dupri confirmed the notion on an episode of Drink Champs. So the incident happened 1 month after the infamous Source Awards, where Suge dissed Puffy for being all in the videos, dancing, etc., etc. R.I.P. Big Jake, right? So this was a monumental event that led up to so much more. So much more. You get what I'm saying? Who knows why the fight happened? Who cares? All that matters is that Suge is a known, notorious blood. And his homie, who is a blood as well, his best friend, gets killed by somebody tied to Diddy. So that beef is going to carry on, and that beef might be everlasting. Let's get into who Wolf is. Here's an Instagram post explaining Wolf's story. So this is from this is from NYC Knowledge. By the way, all the links to all of these articles that I'll be reading today and everything I've read before will be in the description. So Anthony Wolf Jones, pictured here, the former bodyguard of Sean Diddy Combs back when he was Puff Daddy. Apart from being a bodyguard, Wolf was a well-known individual from the Bronx who was known to play with guns and was feared heavily in the streets. Wolf played a vital role in the East Coast West Coast war after allegedly being the shooter behind Big Jake's murder, the best friend of Suge Knight. In the years following, Wolf became popular in hip hop culture, being photographed various times at hip hop award shows and public events. He was one of two men charged during the shooting incident with Diddy and Jennifer Lopez in New York City in 1999, but beat his case. That's the case where, people said the rapper Shine was shooting in the club with Jennifer Lopez and Diddy when they were dating, and they said that Shine shot some girl in the face. He ended up getting 10 years, deported back to Belize, ended up coming back to America as a diplomat. Crazy story, crazy story. But yeah, I didn't know that Wolf was in that altercation too. Honestly, I thought Wolf got killed earlier until I started doing some digging. Anyway, so Wolf was still alive in 1999. So Wolf left New York City and began making moves in Atlanta, where he met BMF leader Big Meech and had a friendship with him after meeting in the club. So the thing about Diddy is that he really doesn't show any loyalty. So when Shine's case, Shine took the fall for Diddy for shooting in the club, and Nas said, I don't like how Diddy did Shine with different lawyers and that sort of thing. A lot of people really saw Diddy for kind of a snake and for, kind of protecting his own ass in that case. And so a lot of people distanced themselves, from Diddy for many years. And Wolf and Shine are one of them. Basically Diddy blacklisted them, and, Wolf got kicked out of the circle, Shine got kicked out of the circle, and that sort of thing. So Wolf goes down to Atlanta and ends up running into Big Meech. Big Meech is a big time drug dealer from Detroit who's hanging out in Atlanta, making a lot of moves, a lot of money, and that sort of thing. And he likes to pal around with celebrities or celebrity affiliates. So it's not ironic, or it's not coincidental that Wolf ended up in Big Meech's orbit, because Big Meech was out there throwing big money around, like to have celebrities around. Wolf said, "Hey, I know Puffy. Puffy's my homie. Y'all see me all over the magazines and stuff." So I'm sure Wolf was in that situation, heavy. So anyway, Wolf left New York City and began making moves in Atlanta, where he met BMF leader Big Meech and had a friendship with him after meeting in the club. In 2003, after a dispute with Meech over a woman, Wolf and his partner got into a shootout with Big Meech and members of BMF and was killed as a result. Big Meech, after surviving a gunshot wound to the buttocks, was acquitted of double homicide. Wow. What a crazy story. What a crazy, crazy, crazy story. So I think there's a lot going on here. And this beef between Suge and Diddy is really the cause of the East Coast West Coast war, because there were other stories of Death Row record label employees and Bad Boy record label employees getting into fights at different award shows and different places and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that has to do with writing for Suge as a blood, because a lot of the members of Death Row Records were Bloods as well. There were some Crips there too, and that sort of thing. But a lot of the Bloods were standing up riding for Suge, and Diddy had a lot of people, a lot of hired guns around him as well, and also the Bad Boy record crew coming out of Harlem and the Bronx and New York and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I think was going on. Anyway, let's continue building. So Carding believes the murders of Tupac and Biggie Smalls were related. The first thing to note is that Detective Carding claims the deaths of the notorious B.I.G. and Tupac were related. While investigating Biggie's death, he discovered new information linking both cases. I mean, no shit, of course they're going to be related. They were both very famous rappers who were in a very public beef, even if that beef was one-sided. One of them accused the other of having them potentially killed. They were both signed to men who had beef with each other, where there were bodies on both sides. So, of course, there was going to be a situation. You get what I'm saying? Here's a picture of Diddy. So, number 3, did Puff Daddy hire hitmen to kill Tupac? Based on 3 years of working on the case, Detective Greg Carding comes to the conclusion that Sean Puff Daddy Combs put up a $1 million hit on both Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight, following the highly publicized rap beef involving himself and Biggie. Carding claims the music mogul had close gang ties in LA and hired Crip members Dewan Keefe D. Davis to carry out the hit. All right, let's break this down. A lot of people might be saying, if Diddy really did kill Tupac, where's the check? Where's the cash? Money is the easiest thing to track. Even back in the 90s, you couldn't just pull out $1 million cash from the bank and somebody not calling the feds or the IRS. People would have talked about that. There's this guy, Gene Deal. Gene Deal, I believe, is one of the other old black men who won't shut up, getting on YouTube all the time, doing interviews for all these different platforms. And Gene Deal said he saw that one of the guys Keefe D is affiliated with get $1 million check for Puffy for his company. So I think that's how they laundered the money. Y'all can go look that up yourself. Y'all can go find that video. I'm not playing any videos on here because the copyright strike police are crazy. But is that possible? Is that highly possible that Diddy laundered the money by paying somebody through their company? Possibly. That's an allegation that has been made. It's not an allegation I'm making. I'm just reporting what I've heard on YouTube. Am I dry snitching? No, I'm not dry snitching. I'm only talking about what's out there. And plus, I'm not a big public figure like 50. And I don't know Diddy. I'm literally only talking about what I see on the internet and the news sources, just like y'all. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just reporting or giving my opinion about how it happened. Do I think that's possible? Yes. But I'm gonna give my real honest opinion about this. Do I think Diddy is really that type of street dude? In a way, yes. In a way, yes. Because Diddy's the only one out here not talking. It's crazy. You know, they say the music industry is full of gangsters. There's more gangsters in the music industry than there are in the mafia. You get what I'm saying? And if we think about it, a real gangster would not talk. 50's been talking, Keefe D's been talking. Hell, Tupac was talking crazy on the Machiavelli album, talking crazy about Haitian Jack and everybody else in the streets. Diddy's the only person that was quiet the whole time. So is it possible Diddy is really that maniacal, that Machiavellian? I think so. I think so. I mean, if I think about it, I don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all think Diddy really did it? Do you think he put up that $1 million check, laundered it to the person that put out the hit by paying their company? I don't know. What do y'all think? Let's get into the comments real quick. Global Israel Black Man did not know about this Wolf dude. I was following the Shine Barrow story back then. Yeah, so Wolf was a part of the Shine case. And that was a very tragic case. It's a shame that some people got caught up in that. They got hit in the face, and nobody died, I believe, from that case. But yeah, it was a tragedy that happened, and it's even more tragic that Puffy ruined black men for Jennifer Lopez. Seriously, we got to keep it real, man. J Lo has not been with a black dude since Puffy, and that's simply because when J Lo saw that all that nigga shit was going down, she said, "Oh no, I have to go back and find me some white meat." Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Puffy ruined J Lo, and we all have to deal with the consequences of that. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. There's a there's an interview going around right now with Tommy Davidson, interviewed by Shannon Sharp. Uh, Tommy Davidson is a famous comedian. Shannon Sharp is a famous former NFL football player, and now he's doing interviews on his podcast and stuff like that. And Tommy Davidson and Jennifer Lopez were both on a show called In Living Color back in the day, a comedy show. And Jennifer Lopez was a backup dancer for that show. And Tommy Davidson said that he used to hang out with J Lo, and J Lo was cool. He used to hang out with J Lo and his girlfriend all the time at dinner and stuff. And Tommy Davidson met up with J Lo again, and J Lo is acting all funny towards him. We have to keep it real. J Lo probably hates black men right now for the rest of her life, even though she did all those songs with Rule and LL Cool J in the early 2000s. She probably stayed away from niggas for the rest of her life because keep it real. Puffy and Shine almost brought down Jennifer Lopez's career. She could be doing a bid. Imagine J Lo doing 10 years because they said that J Lo hid the gun. They said J Lo hid the gun in the car. Let's keep it real. I'm gonna keep on building here. So number 4. So who actually trigger on Tupac? Cardin claims that Tupac was killed by Crip gang members Orlando Baby Lane Anderson. He alleges that the original hit was supposed to be carried out by Keefe D, but plans were changed at the last minute after they unexpectedly pulled up on the wrong side of Tupac's vehicle. So Keefe D nephew carried out the hit instead, killing Tupac and injuring Suge Knight. Interestingly, Baby Lane also got into a fist fight with Pac at a Vegas casino hours before the shooting took place. Yeah. If Keefe D's story is true, sorry. If Keefe D's story is true, a lot of people said that Tupac was dumb for getting into a fight with Orlando that night. A lot of people said that, if Tupac never got into a fight with Orlando, he would still be alive. While that might be possible, it seems like if Keefe D's story is true, Tupac would have still been killed that night because they were on a mission. Has anybody ever asked? Has anybody ever really wondered why are 2 LA gang members really at the Mike Tyson fight? Now, Keefe D said in interviews he's been going to Tyson fights all his life because I guess he was one of those big drug dealers in the 80s who got enough money to go to the Tyson fights. I mean, that was the thing back then. Big drug dealers from the East Coast and West Coast all used to go to Vegas and watch the Tyson fights and that sort of stuff. So maybe. But I highly doubt that it was a coincidence that Pac was there at the same time and Baby Lane and Keefe D were there at the same time. It seems like they were out there on a mission. You get what I'm saying? When we look at that surveillance video, that famous surveillance video, when when Baby Lane, Orlando Anderson is in the casino and Tupac comes up to him and everybody says, "Hey, that's the guy who stole the death row chain." Oh, how do we go this far and not mention this? How do we go this far and not mention this? I'm surprised this is not in the thing here. Maybe it's going to be in the next article I read. But come on. People have said that the reason Tupac slapped Orlando in the casino is because Diddy had a ransom on anybody's death row chain. I forgot to tie those links together. I'm so sorry. So the story goes like this. Diddy and Suge got beef, right? And so Diddy puts a ransom on anybody who can get a death row chain. And death row chains, were medallions that Suge would give to the record label workers and stuff like that. All the gang members at death row and all the artists as well. Somebody steals the chain of a death row employee, and that was Orlando Anderson. Orlando Anderson took the chain off of a death row employee. And so Orlando Anderson is just running around LA with his death row chain, and then Diddy gives the gangsters the money, supposedly, allegedly, so they say. Diddy gives him the $10,000 and lets him keep the chain. So Orlando Anderson is walking around with the death row chain in LA and Vegas. Pac is with the guy who got robbed of his chain, sees them in the casino, and then steals off on him and sneaks on him and that sort of stuff. And then that's when the rest is history, right? A few hours later, Pac is killed in Vegas and that sort of stuff. It seems to me, if you think about it, it sounds like they were there for a setup. They were there for a hit, and then they were going to bait Tupac out. Maybe they were planning to kill Tupac in the casino. Let's keep it real. Maybe they were planning to kill Suge or Tupac in the casino by baiting them out. It sounds like it. I'm just putting theories out there. My theory is this: Orlando Anderson, Keefe D, Baby Lane, whatever, all of them went out there to Vegas to bait Tupac. We're going to wear the death row chain that we stole from the guy, get Tupac mad. He's going to swing off on us, and then we can kill him right here because that'll be self-defense. You get what I'm saying? This is my theory. That's just my theory. I don't know if that's true. I'm just building off what I know and just thinking this through. Anyway, was Faith Evans aware of Tupac's murderer? Biggie Smalls' then wife Faith Evans allegedly knew about Diddy's plot to kill Tupac. After the West Coast rapper was murdered, Keefe D claims he contacted Diddy and Evans to let them know they were responsible for the death. Crazy. That's a heavy allegation. Heavy allegation right here. Heavy allegation. So I'm going to go to the comments right here. Globalismo Black Man. Yeah, Puffy threw that Diamond Chica J-Lo away. Ah, that's funny. That's funny. I always thought Faith Evans was so fine. Anybody else thought Faith Evans was fine? Even now, she's still a dime. She's still a dime. And it's not because she's light skinned. It's because she can actually sing. She got talent. She's actually dope. I like Faith Evans. She should have been bigger than Mary J. Blige, but Mary J. Blige just got some hits. She just got too many hits. Anyway, let's go here. This is Biggie right here. So, does that mean Biggie was involved in Tupac's murder? No. Detective Carding claims that Biggie did not play any part in the murder of Tupac despite their well-documented rap beef. He says that B.I.G. was not aware of Diddy's plans to kill both Shakur and his manager, Suge Knight. All right. So Biggie wasn't involved. And I believe that. I believe Biggie didn't want to have any parts of any type of street beef. He was just, just trying to get his money and that sort of thing. What is the reason for Faith Evans, though? Biggie's wife, by the way. Biggie's wife, who was also an artist signed to Diddy, but also the first wife of Biggie Smalls, right? What's the reason for Faith to know? Well, Tupac was out there playing with her name. Tupac was on record talking about he had sexual relations with Faith Evans. And so that probably really offended her. That caused a rift between her and her husband, Biggie Smalls, and Tupac. Whether it's true or false, we don't know. I wish somebody would say it. I mean, Faith has denied it. Tupac said it. Nobody will know but them. But wasn't there a third person around? Weren't one of the outlaws around? Couldn't it have been possible one of the outlaws heard it in the other room? Somebody really needs to expose this fact, because if Tupac really slept with Faith, that would give her, all right, maybe some more motivation to want to see Pac dead, because kissing and telling is a violation. But also, even more importantly, if Faith really didn't sleep with Pac, and right now it's her word against his, she would have even more reason to want him dead, because like, yo, you're lying on me. You're a big famous rapper. You got this song that is everywhere, and you're in the first words of it. That's why I slept with your woman, Biggie Smalls. Like, that's Tupac was out there really, really messing up Faith's life. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. When we think about Faith Evans in hip hop, the first thing we think of is Tupac and whether she smashed or not. We think of Faith Evans more for her relations with Pac and Big than we do her music. And that's a shame, honestly. I dare anybody to name 4 Faith Evans songs. Name 4 Faith Evans songs right off the top of your head. And if you do that, I know you're over 40 years old. But the rest of the culture, we can name some other songs from some other female artists, from that era. Let's get into the comments real quick. Globaliso Black Man, J-Lo almost got smoked in that shootout drama. The incident must have terrified her to death and traumatized her to stay away from black dudes' relationships. Facts, man. Facts. That's the thing, man. That's the thing. A lot of these spicy Latinas, a lot of these spicy Latinas, man, they don't really get down with brothers like that. A lot of Hispanic women don't really rock with black men like that. But the few that do, I believe a lot of them are only in it to get it for a minute. You know what I mean? Now, of course, there are some Latino women that marry black men, and there are some who are not anti-black. But a lot of Latinas, they they have that colorism in them. They look down on darker skinned people and that sort of thing. And so, like, if they're with black men, usually it's just for sexual tryst. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real from my perspective and my experience as well. So I think when Diddy did that, the fun was over for her. Dick ain't worth dying for, is what J Lo was thinking, in my opinion. But I'm gonna keep on building here. So after Tupac died, it's alleged that Suge Knight paid a hitman to kill Biggie Smalls. After narrowly avoiding death in the murder of Tupac, Death Row Records boss Suge Knight allegedly retaliated by hiring a Bloods gang member to kill the notorious B.I.G. The hitman shot and killed Biggie after he was traveling home from a party thrown by Vibe magazine. Interestingly, the documentary also claims that Knight saw Tupac's killer and actually went to the same school as hired hitman Keefe D. See, it's a small world, man. That's a very small world. The claims the killer that Knight, Suge Knight, saw Tupac's killer and actually went to the same school. That's crazy. It's a small world. The same boys you hanging out with will later try to, light you up. You get what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's crazy. The industry is a small world and the streets are an even smaller world. Because when we think about it, these 4 or 5 people are tied up in this real heavy. Like 4 or 5 people in this story that changed millions of lives are tied up in this real heavy. And it's a shame. Rest in peace, Biggie Smalls. We'll always remember Biggie Smalls. March 9th should have never happened. Let's continue building here. So 8. So who actually killed Biggie? Bloods gang member Wardell Pucci Foose allegedly murdered Biggie after being paid $13,000 by Suge Knight. According to Carding, Pucci attended the same party as Biggie and fired shots at his car as they attempted to leave. Biggie later died on the way to the hospital. Wow. What a crazy story. Absolutely crazy story. I didn't know about Wardell Pucci. I wonder if Wardell Pucci is alive. But a lot of these dudes die because listen, I know 50 Cent and Keefe D and Gene Deal and all of these guys are talking right now, right? But think a lot of the people in the streets talk as well. If you've watched Menace to Society, remember when O-Dog killed the Chinese lady and the Chinese husband, and then he's running around showing the tape to everybody, dumbass, dumbass. That sort of stuff happens in the streets all the time. I know I'm pulling from fiction, but people in the streets talk, people in the streets know before the police ever know, which is why the police have to wait for people to talk that come from the streets to solve these cases. We've seen First 48. The police don't know anything until you tell them something. You get what I'm saying? Now, I'm not telling people not to cooperate with the police or anything like that. If you want to snitch, snitch. My opinion is I don't work with the police. I don't want to work with the criminal justice system because the criminal justice system is exactly that, criminal. And it's there to incarcerate black men unfairly. Unfairly. There are kids doing like 40-year life sentences. 17-year-olds got 50 years. And yeah, you might have did something horrible, murdered somebody, R-worded somebody, did something really bad. But do you deserve 40 years at 17? No, I believe in redemption. We live in a society that is punishing people way too much. And that's why I think 50 is totally wrong for throwing shade at Diddy like this, because Diddy worked very hard to, make himself successful. He's made millionaires out of other black people. And 50, with all his hatred that he has in his heart, is trying to put another black man in the justice system. And that's wrong. It's absolutely wrong, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm going to keep on building here. So, number 9, the murder case was dropped after the LAPD proved they were not involved in a conspiracy. According to Carding, the investigation was abandoned despite the in-depth investigation because the LAPD were able to beat the $500 million case posed by Biggie's mother, Violetta Wallace. In 2009, Carding was then removed from the task force due to a separate internal affairs investigation. Although he was cleared of any charges, some people still view the retired detective as a rogue cop. So I'm going to continue building here. Number 10, what happened to the alleged murderers? So both Orlando Baby Lane, the suspected killer of Tupac, and Wardell Pucci Faust, the suspected killer of Biggie, have reportedly died of apparent unrelated causes. So even if the claims made in the documentary were true, the men who were allegedly directly responsible for the murders of Tupac and Biggie are no longer here to face punishment. So basically what happened, I know Orlando got killed in a shootout. He got killed by some other. Wouldn't be surprised if he got shot in the streets as well. Once again, this goes to show that America actually needs gun control, because in other countries, criminals don't be shooting at each other like this. But either way, just because you didn't pull the trigger, if you were riding in the car with Poochie or with Baby Lane while they did these hits, you're an accessory to murder. If you found out, if Baby Lane called you and said, "Hey, we just shot Tupac," or Poochie called you and it said, "Hey, we just got Biggie," you're an accessory to murder. If you put up the money for the hit, of course, you're going to be liable for that murder as well. So everybody should just keep quiet. Keefy D should have been silent. If Baby Lane died after he killed Tupac, I would have been telling everybody, I don't even know who Orlando is. Some people might say, "Oh, Keefe D was the uncle of Orlando Anderson, so there's no way he could deny it." I would have been like, "I haven't seen him since he was 7 years old." Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck here. If you know people in the streets and you don't want to be involved in the streets no more, especially if you got away with one of the most famous crimes in history, killing Pac or Biggie, you should be quiet and you should deny all ties to that. Because this is the one time black men will get murdered and the police will throw the book at them and give them proper justice and stuff like that. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. The murders of Tupac and Biggie are some of the biggest cultural moments, not only in hip hop, but in America. Even white folks talk about who killed Biggie, who killed Tupac. Tupac's somewhere in Cuba. Biggie got killed by the Nation of Islam. All these sorts of allegations and mysteries have been around these two since their death. Big cultural moment. Whoever killed them should have been quiet. And whoever knows about who killed them should be quiet. Absolutely. 50 is a wild boy throwing names out there. Even if 50 knows who did it, you're a wild boy for doing that. But the last article we will read today about this is exactly what Keefe D did to end up in this situation. This is published on Vulture, October 3rd, 2023. Everything Keefe D has publicly said about Tupac's murder. Now, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. When all the interviews with DJ Vlad were coming out and, Keefe D was up there more times than Boosie, I didn't check them out, honestly. I didn't watch the Keefe D interviews in depth because I was like, you know what? I had my mind made up about the Tupac case. I knew that Orlando did it or he had some involvement with it. All evidence was pointing towards that. And I didn't want to, you know, just watch some old man just ramble on and on about the gangster stuff he did in the past. Honestly, I'm not into that sort of content. I don't watch the mafia interviews with old guys who are 60 years old about to keel over and they just want to tell all their war stories. I'm not interested in that sort of content for real. And I sort of felt it coming though. I sort of felt it coming when I saw the thumbnails and the titles of the videos that were coming out from Keefe D talking about where he was in the car when Tupac got shot. Like, how dumb can you be? How dumb can you be talking about where I was in the car when Tupac got shot and stuff like that? You get what I'm saying? That's what it seemed like the direction of this energy was going. It was going towards Keefe D eventually getting jammed up for what he was talking about. Because a lot of people say Vlad is not the police and that sort of thing, or Vlad is the police and vice versa. But the police can watch YouTube just like we can. So let's get into what Keefe D was saying that got him jammed up. This was written by Justin Curto, a guy who I believe really knows hip hop very well. Look at his face. Don't that look like somebody who jams a lot of Tupac and Biggie? Anyway, so Dewan Davis wasn't arrested for the murder of Tupac Shakur until September 29th, 2023, but his alleged involvement in the shooting was hardly news. Davis, a Southside Crips member known as Keefe D, was known to the police as a suspect shortly after the killing, even if he'd never been charged. Since then, he's publicly admitted to being in the car that shot Tupac, not just in multiple interviews, but also in his own memoir. Does that sound like a smart man to you? Now, some people say Keefe D had cancer and Keefe D was about to die, or at least Keefe D believed he was about to die. So he was like, I'm just going to get this story out there because I want people to know. Because every trigger man wants everybody to know they're the trigger man. If you shot the sheriff, you want to tell people you shot the sheriff. That's why you sing a song about it like Bob Marley. You get what I'm saying? So he's out here running his mouth because I think he's about to die. But then God gave him a second chance. So I bet Keefe D was like, oh, shit. I'm sure Keefe D, after God gave him a new lease on life, he was like, oh, God, can you please take me now? Let's keep it real. This is dumb. This is dumb. Talking about where I was in the car that shot Tupac. Are you dumb? See, it's so dumb. Anyway, I'm going to continue reading here. Following the 2018 series Death Row Chronicles on BET, which featured some of Keefe D's first public comments on the shooting, Las Vegas police reviewed the case and confirmed it remained open. Police later said, upon Keefe D's arrest, that this and following interviews led to him being charged. It wasn't until 2018 that this case was reinvigorated as additional information came to light related to this homicide. Specifically, Duane Davis's own admission to his involvement in this homicide investigation that he provided to numerous different media outlets. Lieutenant Jason Johansson said at a press conference on September 29th, when police searched Keefe D's house in July 2023, they took a copy of his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, co-written with Yusuf Jah, in which he further detailed the shooting. Absolutely, absolutely dumb to be writing this in a memoir and that sort of thing. You can write a book about your street tales and what you did as a gangster in the 90s without implicating yourself in murders which have no statute of limitation. For people that don't know, statute of limitation is when, there are crimes where you can't be convicted of them after a certain amount of time. For example, if I rob a bank today, I would have to wait 20 years after I rob a bank if I'm never caught by the police for them to say that they can't charge me for this crime, at least under US law. Murder, I believe, is the only crime that has no statute of limitations. So if Keefe D was involved in Tupac's murder, he should have never spoken about it, because even if he was 99 years old and he was going to die the next day, the police could still arrest him. He could still be charged for that murder, because murder is a crime that you can always be charged for, that no matter how much time has passed. So I'm going to continue reading. Keefe D never claimed to have pulled the trigger. That's said to be his nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson. Anderson was allegedly in the back of a Cadillac with Keefe D and two other Southside Crips on September 7th, 1996. They pulled up next to Death Row Records head Suge Knight and Tupac in a BMW when shots were fired. Baby Lane died in an unrelated gang shooting in 1998, but previously denied involvement. Police now say Keefe D was the shot caller of the crew and orchestrated the plan that was carried out. Keefe D has not commented on his arrest and has yet to submit a plea. Below everything he's previously said about Tupac's killing. So, police confession. Keefe D first spoke about his involvement in the shooting with Los Angeles police in 2008 for immunity in a PCP ring case. His confession was later reported in a 2011 book, Murder Rap, by Greg Kading, a former detective on the case. LA Weekly further reported his comments in a cover story. The confession was also the basis for the 2018 Netflix series Unsolved, in which Lahmard Tate played Keefe D. Keefe D told investigators that his nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, shot Tupac from the car they were in. If they would have drove on my side, I would have popped them, Keefe D added. The gun was a Glock 40, he said, from a secret compartment in the armrest, and I ain't never told nobody that story, man, he said. See, I think we got to put two and two together. So Keefe D says he would have shot Pac if he pulled up on the other side of the car or that sort of thing. But Pac was in the passenger side. Pac was not driving. Suge Knight was driving, which means that Keefe D would have been aiming at Suge instead of Pac. Now, the intention might have been to kill both of them, but I think, honestly, if they pulled up on the other side and Suge was driving and Keefe D is on this side and he lets it ring on him, that sort of means he was trying to aim for Suge more, because the intention is to hit who you're hitting at. Now, he might have wanted to kill Tupac secondary because Tupac just went off on his nephew. He just smacked Baby Lane, his nephew, because Keefe D is Baby Lane's uncle. You get what I'm saying? But I really think there might be some legitimacy to this idea that that Diddy had a hit out on Tupac and possibly Suge. I think that might be the unspoken thing here, and maybe there will be more information about that coming out. Because if it is true that Diddy had ransom money out for anybody that can bring back a death row chain to him, what makes him think he's not going to want to just take Suge's life at it? You get what I'm saying? Because that's antagonistic. If Diddy is out there, paying people to steal death row chains, that's going to cause animosity between him and Suge. That beef is going to last. So why would you allow that to continue to fester without popping the dude at the top? You get what I'm saying? So I think the intention might have been for Keefy D to hit Suge and Pac. Whether one was incidental in that hit is different by what they're saying. If you have a different theory about what Keefy D wanted to do that night, if you think the target was Pac, or if not Suge, let me know. Let me know. I'm just running with it here. So Keefy D claimed that Sean Diddy Combs ordered the hit, allegedly telling him, "Man, I want to get rid of them dudes," referring to Tupac and Suge Knight. Combs told LA Weekly that Keefy D's account was pure fiction and completely ridiculous. Keefy D claimed Diddy's issue with Knight stemmed back from its infamous diss to the Bad Boy executive at the 1995 Source Awards. First, Diddy only wanted Knight, Keefy D would say, but he later targeted Tupac as well after Hit 'Em Up, a diss on the Notorious B.I.G. and Bad Boy. That pissed Combs off, Keefy D claimed. They allegedly settled the terms of the hits at Greenblatt's Deli, where Keefy D asked for $1 million to kill both Tupac and Knight. Keefy D alleged he told Diddy, We'll wipe their ass out quick, man. It's nothing. After Tupac's killing, Keefy D said the Southside Crips never got the alleged $500,000 payment from Diddy. Interesting. Very interesting here. Very interesting allegation Keefy D is making. So let's say, I wonder how this works legally, and you guys tell me, because I'm just going to put this out here. Let's say Diddy was mad at Pac and Suge for legitimate reasons or silly reasons. And so he calls up some gang members, sits down with them at the deli, and says, "Man, I want you to kill these guys." And then the gang members do it, but then Diddy never pays the money to them. Do you think he could still be charged with the crime? I don't know. That might be a stupid question. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just trying to figure this out here legally. Because let's say Diddy was having that conversation with him, but he was joking. He was like, "Man, these guys are killing me, man. Somebody should wipe them out, man. I want to destroy them." That could be interpreted as, Bad Boy wants to destroy Death Row, as in record sales. He wants to be more successful. I mean, there's a lot of ways that defense could be made, honestly. I'm just thinking about it. Because if Keefy D claims Diddy told him to do it for the money, but he never got the money, does that still make Diddy a hitman? Or, Diddy hire a hitman? Because then Keefy D, I guess, never spoke to Diddy again. Diddy might have blocked them, ignored them. He might have just been playing those dudes. I don't know. So, unrelated to the shooting, Keefy D told police that Diddy used his brown 1964 Chevy in Usher's "Can You Get With It" music video. He claimed the car got effed up from the shoot and that Combs paid him $2,500 to get it repainted. Vulture reached out to Diddy for comment on Keefy D's claims, but did not hear back. So, Death Row Chronicles on BET. "I'm the only one alive who can really tell you the story about the Tupac killing," Keefy D said in this 2018 series. What a dummy. What a dummy. "I'm the only one who can tell you who killed Tupac. It was me, my cousin, my nephew. We were all riding in the car." What a dummy. What people will do for fame and attention is embarrassing. It's embarrassing what people will do for fame and attention. Anyway, Keefy D said in the 2018 series, explaining that he was finally opening up about what allegedly happened because he had cancer. "I have nothing else to lose," he added. "All I care about is the truth." In the series, Keefy D admitted publicly to being in the Cadillac that gunned down Tupac for the first time. This is infuriating to see this. He sat in the passenger seat, he claimed, with Terrence Bubble Up Brown driving and Orlando Baby Lane Anderson and DeAndre Freaky Smith in the back. Keefy D said that they went to Club 662, which was owned by Suge Knight, to wait for Tupac to perform, but left before he showed up. Then, while driving away, they saw Tupac stick his head out of a car after some girls yelled his name. If he wouldn't even have been out the window, we would have never seen him, Keefy D said. Keefy D's car then made a U-turn, he said, and then they got to a stoplight next to Tupac's car. "When we pulled up, I was in the front seat," he said. "Happened to see my friend Suge." Keefy D then said someone from the back shot Tupac, but did not say whom. "Gonna keep it for the code of the streets," he said. "It's just came from the back seat, bro." All right. All right. The code of the streets. You just said that you were in the car with so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and you were there too. but you're keeping it the code of the streets. You won't say who pulled the trigger, but we were definitely the car that shot Tupac. I mean, keep it real. Keep it real. That uh, it's so infuriating to see people say that the streets are like this. The streets are a myth. Let's keep it a real. The streets are a myth. Nobody follows the street code. Nobody follows protocol because this is rule number one that you don't break in the streets. Don't talk about where you were, when it happened, and who you were with. Instead, all we get is a lot of gum bumping of people running their dick suckers talking about what happened in the streets. Absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. So, Compton Street Legend. In his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, Keefe D provided more details to claims he had previously told police. He wrote of an alleged meeting with Diddy at Greenblatt's where he requested the hit on Tupac and Suge Knight. Like a lion on the Serengeti, I'm able to smell and see fear, he wrote. Puffy was full of fear. Keefe D wrote that he apparently told Diddy that's not a problem. He also claimed Hit 'em Up angered the Southside Crips too because Tupac allegedly said, if you want to be down with Bad Boy, then F you too. All right. And there's been rumors for a long time that Diddy hired Southside Crips for protection whenever he went to LA, and the Southside Crips had a financial deal with Diddy, that whenever Diddy or any of the Bad Boy artists went out to LA, they would be protection. And of course, Death Row Records is a label that had some Crips on there, but it's mostly a blood venture, the rivals of the Crips. So of course there's going to be that animosity there as well. So it seems like, Diddy was playing into LA gang politics to some degree, dipping his foot in there, and that seems to be necessary. Whenever you go to LA, what do they always say? You got to check in, got to call somebody, make sure you're cool. So anyway, let's go here. The Southside Crips had a regular tradition of going to Las Vegas to watch Mike Tyson fight. Little did I know this trip to Vegas, unlike the ones before, would change my life, Keefe D wrote. After the fight, he and the Crips planned to meet in the cafe at the MGM Grand, but Baby Lane, his nephew, didn't show up. Then some 118 East Coast Crips came and told us that they saw some death row N-words. they saw some death row niggas jump on my nephew down by the casino. Sorry. He said, just days earlier, one of the Southside Crips had a stolen death row chain from a death row associate at the Lakewood Mall in California. He had allegedly been a part of the group that attacked Baby Lane. Keefe D claimed this made the hit on Tupac more urgent. When conversations would come up about $1 million bounty on the heads of Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur, that was business, he wrote. But after Tupac, Suge, and them death row niggas jumped on my nephew, Baby Lane, the shit became ominously personal. I told this story earlier in the stream, but yeah, this was a big part. It seemed like at the time there was this death row chain that was a part of it that seems to be the unspoken, casus belli, the reason why this whole thing jumped off too. On top of the alleged idea that the Southside Crips were being hired by Diddy to take out Pac and Suge. You get what I'm saying? So it seems like a lot of this had to do with street beef that lasted before, and then on top of that, possibly the hit that was being hired afterwards. So Keefe D goes on to describe getting a 40 millimeter Glock from a man named Zip, who was hanging out with the rapper Foxy Brown. He turned to me and said, "It's time to get the money," Keefe D described. They planned to go to Club 662 for a death row after party where Tupac was supposed to perform. He wrote that he first planned to confront Knight, whom he had long known. But after Tupac and Knight didn't show up for an hour and a half, Keefe D called his crew off. Lucky for them, they never showed up because it would have been like Al Capone's Valentine's Day massacre if they had, he wrote. When the group stopped to buy champagne, Keefe D moved to the Cadillac with Bubble Up, Freaky, and Baby Lane and put the Glock in the back. He then described seeing Tupac stick his head out of a BMW, Bubble Up turning the car around, and pulling up next to Tupac and Knight at a stoplight. He wrote that Knight looked terrified and Tupac reached for a gun. That's when the fireworks started. He wrote, one of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started bussing back. They then drove off and even saw the two ambulances carrying Tupac and Knight. The group ditched their Cadillac and then popped our bottles and partied like it was any other night. Keefe D showed little remorse writing about the alleged killing. The moral of the story, real gangsters are nothing to F with. Ugh, that's the moral of the story. No, the moral of the story is if you do something, if you get away with it, don't bring the attention back to yourself. That should be the story. The moral of the story, real gangsters are nothing to F with. Is that really the moral of the story? Maybe the moral of the story is this sort of violence and treachery should not be played with, should not be done. Maybe as a man, as you get older, Keefe, as you're about to go see God, don't you, have some belief, some remorse that possibly, you took a life, so you might spend the rest of your life in hell? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. What type of people are these? Uh so the moral of the story, real gangsters are nothing to F with, he wrote. He went on to call the shooting another day at the office and wrote that Tupac's death was collateral damage. He continued, at this point in my life, I can see collateral damage. That's why I think the hit was really about Suge. My theory is collateral damage. Collateral damage. Keefe D said himself, Tupac was collateral damage. What does that mean? Collateral damage is when something is broken when you intended to break something else, even though that thing that's broken you don't really care about, but because it's broken, it's a side note, right? Tupac was collateral damage when they were really trying to get Suge, in my opinion. Let's keep it real. Suge was a real stepper and a real mover and shaker in the streets. Tupac was just a rapper. Diddy was not scared of Tupac. Tupac was a lot of talk. I'm keeping it real with you. Diddy would have had more to fear and more to lose if Suge was still out and about, free and rich. Let's keep it real. I think Diddy really wanted Suge gone, if Keefe D is to be believed, because he talked about pulling up on the other side of the car. They knew that Suge was driving the car because if Tupac is hanging out the window, obviously Suge was driving. There's no way that this story can just simply be, okay, they wanted Tupac gone. They wanted Suge primarily gone, based on everything we're putting together. So at this point in my life, I can say that I have a deep sense of remorse for what happened to Tupac. He was a talented artist with tons of potential to impact the world. I hate that Tupac's family, friends, and fans, especially his mother, Afeni Shakur, had to go through the pain of losing her son. It's terrible losing people like that. I know that pain too well. However, I stand firm on the point that Tupac, Suge Knight, and the rest of those niggas didn't have any business putting their hands on my beloved nephew, Baby Lane. Period. Them jumping on my nephew gave us the ultimate green light to do something to their ass. Tupac chose the wrong game to play and the wrong niggas to play with. Suge and them should have done a better job of protecting that dude because they knew who the we were and the kind of shit we were capable of. Tupac may not have known, but Suge and his peeps definitely knew. Tupac was a guppy that got swallowed up by some ferocious sharks. He shouldn't have ever got involved in that BS of trying to be a thug. There's a lot of truth there, and it's also sad to see that, because somebody beat up your nephew, which is horrible. Yeah, you should defend your nephew, stuff like that, but you should get it right back right then and there. You get what I'm saying? Like, I know we're in this game in America where, fights can't just be fights. Everything can lead to gunplay and that sort of thing. But come on, man. Like, Keefe D threw his life away. Baby Lane threw his life away. Tupac threw his life away. Suge Knight threw his life away, all for stupid stuff, generally. And this did not need to happen. They could have handled that like men. I mean, Pac didn't start shooting in the club, so y'all could have beat up Pac right there. I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. Yeah, it could have easily been handled a different way. But I'll continue building. Shortly after publishing Compton Street Legend, Keefe D spoke about his life in the Tupac shooting with DJ Vlad. He didn't expand on many of the book's details, often responding with some version of let them read about it. When asked about who in the car shot Tupac, he replied, I'm not going to go into detail on that one. Keep the streets, homie. When Vlad read a passage about the moment the shooting began, Keefe D said, basically, yeah. See, I think Keefe D thought, niggas don't read. Keefe D thought, you know what? I can write this in a book and nobody's going to read it because niggas don't read. And that might have been his way of self-confessing. He wanted to clear his soul, maybe, of what he did. There was a rapper, I believe his name was G Depp, who was ironically a rapper from New York who was signed to Bad Boy. G Depp killed somebody like in 1993 and got away with it. Basically, he lived like the next 30 years of his life free. And then one day he walks into a police station and says, I killed this guy. Please arrest me and take me to jail. And now G Depp is doing life in prison. G Depp did not have to do that, but he had a conscience that needed to be cleared. You get what I'm saying? Uh, so that, I believe, is very similar to Keefe D. On one hand, he wanted to clear his soul by writing it in the book. And on top of that, he thought he would not get caught because niggas don't read. A lot of people don't read books, unfortunately. So he thought he was going to be able to get away with this. But then he saw that there was more money to make by promoting this book, possibly. And on top of that, all the interest that Tupac's murder and death got on. So I'm surprised they didn't mention this proffer agreement in this article. And for those that don't know, the proffer agreement is when the police say, you can tell us about all the crimes you committed uh, right now or in this day. That's why the proffer agreement is often called the Queen for a Day thing. So Keefe D got offered a proffer agreement when he was brought in by the detective to talk about what he knew about the Tupac shooting, despite the fact he had already put it in his book. So they could have just read it, but they got him actually to sit down and talk about it and that sort of thing. So he sits down and talks about it. Oh, wait, pardon. The book came out after the proffer agreement. So anyway, basically, Keefe D sits down with the detective Greg Kading in the proffer agreement and tells him everything he knows about the Tupac case and that sort of thing. And he cannot be convicted with that information because that's a part of the proffer agreement. But if there is more information that comes out that ties Keefe D to that murder, then they can use it. And what is the information that they use to tie Keefe D to the murder? What he wrote in his book. What Keefe D wrote in his book after he sat down with the detectives and told them everything that he put in his book. He then writes it in a book, and then they use that information, and then plus all the interviews that he's been doing to then get some charges on him as an accessory to a murder or the actual murderer of Tupac. Now, will this lead to Diddy going to jail? I don't know. Lord knows. I would not like to see that, honestly. I think, there's another way to handle this. People that still love Pac are, like, I'm talking about the people that knew Pac, are still out there. And so if they really want to get back, if they really think that Diddy did it, then Diddy's going to have to deal with the street justice, I believe, more than, you know, uh, the criminal justice system. You know what I mean? So I think 50 is absolutely wrong for putting that information out there. And I hope that there's justice in this Tupac situation. I hope that, Diddy make some more comments about this. And, I think we need to remember that in the music industry, there are a lot of gangsters. There's a lot of people with criminal minds and, very sordid people comprise the music industry. But we, need to remember that we can still learn a lot of life lessons, even from studying the lives of thugs, criminals, and gangsters and that sort of thing. Now, all of these men have done well. Two of these men have done great things with their lives. One of them would have done even more great things with his life had it not been cut short at 26. Diddy has gone on to be a successful entrepreneur. 50 is a successful entrepreneur. They've turned their life around. I'm sure they're not in the streets. They're not dealing drugs and that sort of stuff. But I wish that 50 could follow Diddy's lead in being a mogul and keep it quiet about all the gangster moves he's making, if they actually did exist. I don't think it's cool that what 50 is doing. I'm here in Budapest, and 50 is coming to Budapest on October 18th. I wish I could go, but I don't have enough money to go. So I guess I'll have to catch 50 the next time, possibly. Would be dope to see some songs from Get Rich or Die Trying on stage, but I guess it won't happen. Anyway, that was my live stream. If anybody's got any last comments or questions, anything they want to say, put it in the chat. All right. Before we end this live stream, I'm going to say shout out to Globalismo, Black Man. Thanks for coming in, building with me, chopping it up. Your comments were hilarious. I salute you, brother, for showing love to me. And anybody else who was watching, if you were silent and just soaking up game, I hope you found this entertaining, educating, informative, engaging, and that sort of stuff. I didn't do a live stream yesterday, but I'm picking it up the pace. We're going to continually be consistent. Look out for new content all the time on this channel. My name is Simon Hill, and peace.